Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with your Piney Podcast for Memorial Day weekend. By request, I had a request for Piney Podcast. Some of you have said, "Oh, you're not doing the Piney Podcast anymore." I am. It's been on Bitchute and Rumble a couple of times. If you haven't caught that, if you haven't been on Bitchute and Rumble, you're missing out the other two videos that we do every day, right, Joan? Right, Little Joan? All right, let's get into it, South Jersey. Officer standoff in South Jersey home lifts shelter-in-place order. This was in Deptford. So the Deptford Police Department posted an update on their Facebook page, removing a shelter-in-place order. Not really thinking that that's the best place to announce that, considering what Facebook does. Now, I realize there are still a lot of people on Facebook, but not necessarily a big enough percentage that most people in Deptford are going to get it. See, this is the misperception by people and social media. Yeah, there are a lot of people on social media, but not everybody. I mean, Twitter only makes up, depending on who you ask, 2 to 5% of the country, maybe. And it kind of depends on the crowd you're talking about. In Deptford, yeah, there are people on Facebook. Are they even going to check it every day? No. I have a relatives on Facebook, hasn't been able to log back in literally years. So yeah, they're on Facebook technically, but they don't check it. They can't. So, how about television? Television's still probably the best place locally. At least you'll get the older folks who watch TV, and if the TV's on in a room, they might catch it. But, short of putting it on, I don't know. I don't know where you could put it on the internet. I mean, you'd have to put it on, it would have to be the top trending thing in like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter in order to hit. And they're not going to make something like this, a small news story, the top trending thing. Not that it's not bad. So there was a standoff in some guy's house. It was on Herfville Road and Pasadena Avenue around 4 p.m. And that was about it. And then it was over. And then the cops don't want to tell you anything. So I'm sure there was some weapons involved and some kind of thing that now somebody's under arrest and there's an investigation, whatever. But again, it's just that Facebook. I mean, you're just going to announce it on Facebook. Facebook won't even allow you to get things out. They truncate everything. So even if it went viral in your feed, it's not really going to go viral unless you pay Facebook money, is my understanding. Photos of South Jersey opening up for Memorial Day weekend. So here we go. Some radio station. Nobody's on the beach. Nobody's on the boardwalk. Yeah, that's Atlantic City, and they're wandering around. And I mean, yeah, some people are out, though the weather's crappy. But that's, par for the course in New Jersey. This is Atlantic City again. What did you go to Atlantic City? You went to one event at a radio station in front of the casinos, and that's around South Jersey. No, that's Atlantic City Boardwalk. So, what was the headline here? I mean, it's the press of Atlantic City, granted. Photos of South Jersey opening. No, it should be photos of Atlantic City Boardwalk opening on Memorial Day weekend. It's not you're not going all over South Jersey taking pictures. What the hell are you doing, press of Atlantic City? The South Jersey doesn't revolve around Atlantic City. Hate to tell you. Alleged member of Pagan's Motorcycle Club arrested on attempted homicide charges in South Jersey. Could this be the Deptford thing? Oh man, you're not gonna let me see this? I don't want to answer this. Here. There. I answered that. Now can I see the story? Thank you. This was late Saturday in Gloucester County, following an hours-long manhunt that prompted officials to ask residents to stay home. Maybe it was. The suspect, Michael F. Duranzo, 41, Glendora in Camden County, had been released from federal prison in December, supposedly to home confinement to await trial stemming from a federal firearms charge, court records show. Oh, yeah, no, this is the one. Authorities say on Sunday he was forced his way into a Deptford Township resident about noon on Saturday. What the heck is that on the floor? Stabbing my foot here. Oh man, I ripped something. I ripped the cover. Anyhow, he was armed with 2 handguns and a high-powered, high-capacity assault weapon. Yeah, well, the way they throw around those adjectives, I don't know. He's probably a rifle, and so he shouldn't have been out. He had a bunch of guns on him, and they caught him. So it looks like no one got hurt. Durazo was charged with attempted murder and related burglary and firearms charges. He's being held at the Salem County Correctional Facility. Yeah, I mean, this is like a guy's waiting trial, and he still hasn't learned his lesson. He's still apparently up to something. If you're accused of a crime, the best thing you could do, in terms of, your trial, is not commit crimes while you're awaiting trial or sentencing or whatever. It's just going to make things worse. Now, if you're looking at a long stretch, maybe you don't care, but there you go. We can't see this one. Damn you, NewJersey.com. 177 cases, 5 COVID deaths reported in New Jersey on Memorial Day. Again, I don't have much more to say about the virus in New Jersey specifically because there's almost no info now. They are done with this politically in the world of the Democrats. It's not helping them to drag it out anymore. Everybody's sick of talking about the virus, including me. So they're going the other way with it, as I predicted. They've changed the PCR test. Now they no longer use the PCRs. After being warned for months and months and months, it would give tons of false positives. Now, as of, mid-November, the CDC doesn't recommend the PCR test. So now all those cases are being quietly erased. There's a guy online on Twitter. His name's Woke Zombie. He's been following the ones in New Jersey specifically, if you want to check it out. And according to him, something like 27,000 cases of the beer virus have been deleted from New Jersey's stats. Which, again, doesn't surprise me. They've changed the parameters. These are bureaucrats. And it's better that there are fewer cases now. Ergo, there are going to be fewer cases because they've changed the parameters. And when you ask one of these people who are changing the parameters, why are you doing this? Oh, well, they changed the parameters. I have to. They changed the parameters. Yeah, but don't you understand what you're doing? You were crying wolf prior to the election. Now you're saying, oh, it's no big deal. Before we were all killing grandma. Now it's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's amazing how changing the parameters subtly, no big deal. And as I predicted, this is all going away because it's no longer politically viable for the people pushing this thing. They want to go the opposite way. They want to be able to say, see, it's all good. Everything's great now. It's wonderful. Sure, a few people are still getting sick, but, for the most part. They're still trying to get their numbers up in terms of the herd immunity. I don't think they're going to be able to do that under the current definition, which they've changed to make it more about the vaccine. More than 4.9 million people have received their first dose at a New Jersey site, about 53% of the state's 9.2 million residents. So to get to 70%, they don't need to go that much further. Need to probably get to about 6 million would do it, right? That'd be about 2/3. No. 70%, 60, probably get to 7 million. 7 million ought to do it. Somewhere around there, between 6 and 7 million people. And then they could just, we got the herd immunity. That's what they're going to do. Because, again, they're bureaucrats, and these are numbers. They've set these goals, And if they can't get the 7 million for some reason, let's say it just grinds to a halt at like 5.2, and nobody's getting a shot, the next step would be to commission a study where people who've already gotten the virus and recovered from it are now counted as being immune. Ergo, oh, we've reached herd immunity. Because that's what really herd immunity used to mean before they literally changed the dictionary definition in Webster's. It was, in the flu season, you'd have herd immunity when enough people got the flu and got over it, right? And nobody would bat an eye at that. Now the implication in the definition is it's really about the vaccines. That's not true. And natural immunity, surprise, surprise, and the studies are coming out, and I'm doing this on studies, YouTube. Not that you care about the virus anymore, but the studies are now showing that yes, natural immunity would be more long-lasting, better, of course, because it's natural, and and it's been happening for millions of years. So, and people are just sick of this. Plus, it's the summertime. Kinda, not this weekend, but on most weekends it's summer now, and in the 90s you're really not going to have the transmission rate. Plus, now that you've changed the test, you don't have the transmission rate, so all the numbers are going to go down, and Murphy's going to declare victory and then prance around and pretend like he cured it, essentially. I tried to spend a maskless weekend in New Jersey. It didn't really work. Yeah, it's a little too soon. People are a little gun shy about this. I am too, because, who wants to deal with going into a store and having some maniac yell at you? Nobody wants to deal with that. So, it's honestly not that big a deal to put on a mask, to go into a store, do my shopping, and get the hell out of there, but it's not pleasant. And it's different going to a store. Like, as going to a store is something I have to do, as opposed to going to the movies. I'm not going to wear a mask at the movies. I want to relax and watch the damn movie. But in a store, yeah, I'll put on the mask. I'm doing a chore anyway. What the hell's the difference? But, if I'm going out to a restaurant to have fun and relax, yeah, I'm not going to wear the mask if I don't have to. If I'm going to meet people and talk to people, I'm not wearing the mask. If it's something fun, I had to, unfortunately, go to some funerals recently, and, I wore a mask. Not because I'm afraid, but because I don't want other people to be afraid of me. I haven't been vaccinated, so I don't want them to freak out and they hear I haven't been vaccinated, so I just wore the mask. But, yeah, this is going to give it another month, I would say, and most people will be off the mask. Because they'll get more and more comfortable with it as the weeks grind on. And then, we'll be basically maskless, save for a few hardcore germaphobes that are more hardcore than me. Face mask order lifted. What you can do now amid beer virus in New Jersey. We can do any, whatever the F we want, patch. And Governor Murphy. He had no authority to do this. These were executive actions. You literally didn't have to listen to them. And New Jersey will lose every court case that manages to hang on. The guys at Attila's Gym, they're going to win. They're going to win their court case. And New Jersey will have to pay them millions of dollars. Millions of dollars that we don't have. The state's in debt. Murphy and his wacky programs. Murphy and his wacky contact tracers. 3,000 of them that we pay. I think I mapped it out. It cost the state about $100 million a year. Yeah. To call people up on the phone, on a smartphone, where they could look at the number and go, who's calling me from Trenton? And I've gotten the calls. Sometimes they leave a message. And I just delete them. I don't listen. Because I don't care. I don't care what the state has to say. They're a bunch of idiots. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, why do 70% of the people who get called don't cooperate or answer the phone? Because I have a smartphone. Because I don't want your call. Because you're half-assing everything you do. Because it's not about the call. It's not about my safety. It's about your politics. If it was about my safety, you would have done things completely differently. You would have actually looked at the signs. You would have locked down every nursing home in New Jersey and turned it into a space station where you couldn't get in and out without a hazmat suit. You would have told people with comorbidities to isolate themselves, and then you would have had some sort of program to contact them and make sure they were on the top of the list to get food delivered to them. And everybody else, you would have said, listen, be careful, wash your hands, wear a mask if you want to. And yeah, people were on board with the mask and the distancing for a while, but 15 days is slow to spread turned into 15 months. So what's that tell you about government, the way they do it? They didn't know what they were doing when they picked 2 weeks. And then 15 months later, they still kind of don't know what they're doing, but they're ending it because now it's not politically viable. Now nobody likes it. Well, people liked it before. Why don't we keep it? I have more power. Why don't we keep it? Murphy still, has he finally stopped his emergency powers? I don't even know. So Governor Murphy's opening key places of life. You don't get to do that. Areas such as entertainment, sports, personal gatherings, you don't get to do that. The state's being sued by churches. I hope they get millions. Although I got to pay for it, but hopefully it's a message to future idiots in power, but I doubt it because they don't pay it. The only thing that would send a message to Murphy is if he had a humiliating loss this November. An absolutely humiliating loss where he barely got 10% of the vote and the Republican just ran him over. Just absolutely ran him over politically. And everybody was glad to see him leave, and he left in shame, utter shame. And then the Republican came in and undid all his machinations, all of them. That's what we need to have happen. That's the only thing that would impact Murphy himself. He's never going to pay a dime. Doesn't matter that he effed up everything. Doesn't matter he spent all this money. Doesn't matter. We pay for it, not him. Doesn't matter that the New Jersey will be in court for years fighting with Attila's Gym and the churches and whoever else sued him, whatever other people sued over their business losses. Doesn't matter. Murphy will be out of office. The lawyers from New Jersey who are paid by the state will be paid by us and fighting this like we have a chance of hell in winning. Oh, we're trying to save the state money. We pay you, idiots. We pay you. You're lawyers. You're not cheap. Oh, but we'll save the state money. No, you won't, because you're going to lose. You know you're going to lose. It's unconstitutional. But, like everybody else in government, you have to justify your existence, right? Here's what Murphy said on CNBC. We have to remember that the virus dictates the terms here, and not us and you have to leave that option on the table. Nice sidestep, but no, you're in charge. I can't get over a guy like Murphy and a lot of blue state governors who are like, we have to fight the system. You're the system. You're in charge. Okay? By being the governor of New Jersey, you're essentially the president of New Jersey. You're the most powerful guy in New Jersey. You can do anything that the legislature allows you to do, and they're allowing you to do all these executive orders, and that no one's stopping you because you have a Democratic legislature, another thing that needs to be overturned. And you run amok. And you have the gall to stand there and say, well, it's not me. I have no control. It's like when Murphy went out with, it wasn't BLM, but it was a BLM affiliated group during the pandemic and marched with people. Well, we had to march against the man. You're the man. Well, police brutality. You're in charge of that. You're the problem. You can't pretend like, I have no power to change this. We need to march in the streets. You're the guy who would change it. You're the guy who would pass a bill or an executive order saying that cops can't do X, Y, and Z. Oh, but there are police unions and other factors, and they would immediately be up in arms and fighting you in the press. Yeah, it's easier to go out in the street and pretend like you're helpless while you have all the power. Millionaire Goldman Sachs guy who has 3 mansions in 3 different countries, helpless, absolutely helpless. Help poor Governor Murphy. He has no power. He only has emergency powers that have lasted since the pandemic, that he renews every 30 days. Oh, but I'm so helpless. I can't do anything. Well, the virus. It's infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. Why he did it. Pressure and practicality played big roles in Governor Murphy's about-face and reversing. Yeah, politics. Yeah, he's getting killed. His poll numbers are going down. Nobody wants this. He has to run for re-election in November. Do you think anybody's going to vote for him if they remember that he kept everybody in a mask? No. By November, he'll be like, oh, it's all over. Wow, New Jersey's open, everybody. Who the hell's going to vote for this guy? All the unemployed people whose benefits will probably run out before November? Although not if Murphy has anything to say about it. I'm sure he'll try to keep those benefits going all the way to November. Vote for Murphy if you want your benefits. Until, he got reelected, and then he'd be like, oh, we're broke. Yeah, we won't be broke before November. As long as Biden keeps pouring money in the states that supported him. It's all politics, man. In the end, it was the heat that won over pride, and not only did Murphy back down over pride, he went further than the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention was recommending, saying he's not even going to chase after unvaccinated people for not wearing masks. He can't. What can he do? There's no laws on the books. He can't do that. He could do an executive order. Good luck enforcing it. You got 47% of the state that's not vaccinated. Millions and millions of people. Oh yeah, that makes sense. You wouldn't go after BLM when they were marching in the streets. That was not even millions of people. Think he's going to go after unvaccinated people? How the hell would he even be able to go about doing it? How the hell could you prove somebody was unvaccinated? You'd have to drag them to a hospital and test their blood. You'd have to get a court order for that. He knows the deal. Who is this? This is Patch. Tom Davis, Patch. Okay, Tom Davis. He doesn't get to tell us how we live our lives. And finally, Phil Murphy took on New Jersey's Democratic machine. Now he needs to win. What the F are you talking about? He is not taking on the Democratic machine. He is the machine. He's the governor in New Jersey. That makes him the president of New Jersey, essentially. And when the president, who's the head of the Republican Party? Donald Trump. He's a former president. And until there's another Republican president, he's technically the head of the Republican Party. Phil Murphy is technically the head of the Democratic Party in New Jersey. Oh, he's taking on the Democratic machine? No, he's not. He is the machine. How can you take on your own machine that you're running? This is what I mean. Oh, I'm going to fight for you against these terrible Democrats. You are the terrible Democrats. You run the terrible Democrats in New Jersey. They're not going to do anything against you. What Democrat's going to go, I don't like Governor Murphy. I'm going to do something against him. I'm going to call for his impeachment. Yeah, the Democrat that wants to get kicked out of the party, get no support from the state party, not to mention the national party. How much support do you think Van Drew got when he jumped ship and moved to the Republicans? He would get support from voters who liked him. Obviously, he did. He got reelected. But the Democrats aren't going to support him. He's not a Democrat anymore. But Murphy, fighting against the Democratic machine? This is the most insane thing I've ever heard. It's like saying, police chief fights against police brutality. He's the police chief. You can't position yourself as a victim, Murphy. You're in charge. You are the establishment. You can't pretend to fight the establishment and be the establishment. But the woke-tards that keep voting for you apparently think that's a good thing. So, don't vote for Governor Murphy. He is the problem.